I still remember the day like it had been branded into my brain. The faint buzz of my phone on the kitchen counter, the dim sunlight filtering to the blinds, and that strange feeling in my gut before I even looked at the screen. It was a Tuesday morning. I was halfway through my coffee, scrolling mindlessly on my laptop, when my phone started vibrating. The caller ID flashed Dad. I frowned. My dad doesn't call me out of the blue. We talk maybe once a week, usually on Sundays, and he's more of a text-first kind of guy. Something felt off. "Hey, Dad." I answered, trying to sound casual. There was a long pause before he spoke, and in that silence, my mind started sprinting through possibilities. Was he sick? Did something happen to Mom? Finally, his voice came through, low, hesitant. "Hey, kiddo, I have to tell you something, but I don't really know how to say it." My stomach dropped. That sentence never precedes anything good. I forced a little laugh. "You're kind of scaring me here. What's going on?" There was another pause, and then he sighed. "It's about your mom and your brother." Now, I need to pause here and explain something. When my dad says your brother, he's talking about Mark. Mark's my older brother by 4 years, and growing up, he was basically my hero. The kind of kid who could talk his way out of anything and make it look easy. He was also my mom's golden child. Not in the I hate him way. I loved him, but it was obvious. Mom doted on him. He could do no wrong in her eyes. So when Dad said it was about Mom and Mark, my brain immediately went to, oh no, maybe Mark's in trouble again. But I couldn't have guessed how far from the truth that was. Dad's voice was tight, like he was choosing every word carefully. "I think there's something you should know about Mark's father." That threw me. What do you mean? You're his father." There was this long, heavy silence. The kind that makes you realize, deep down, that you already know the answer but don't want to hear it. "I'm not," he finally said. For a moment, I thought maybe I misheard him. "Wait, what? That doesn't make any sense. You and Mom." He cut me off gently. "I found out years ago, but I didn't say anything. I thought it would be better for you both if we kept the family together. But I think you're old enough now to know the truth." I just sat there, frozen, my coffee going cold in my hand. "What the hell are you talking about?" He took another deep breath. "Mark's biological father was a guy your mom was seeing before we got married. She never told me she was pregnant until after we were engaged. I assumed Mark was mine. But later, I found some things that made it clear he wasn't. I confronted her, she admitted it, and I decided to stay. I didn't know what to say. My mind was a kaleidoscope of disbelief, confusion, and betrayal. Not even my betrayal, but my dad's. "Does Mark know?" I finally asked. Dad's voice was heavy. "No. As far as I know, your mom never told him. She made me promise to never say anything. But I don't think I can keep that promise anymore." That sentence hit me harder than the revelation itself. Why now? Why break the silence after all these years? I asked him that, and he hesitated before answering. "Because I think Mark might already suspect, and because of the way your mom has been treating you lately. It's not right. You deserve to know why things have always been the way they are." I sat back, staring at the ceiling, trying to piece together the last 25 years of my life in a new light. Suddenly, Mom's favoritism toward Mark, the subtle digs at me, the way she'd always rush to defend him, it all started to make an ugly kind of sense. But I still wasn't ready to believe it, not without proof. "Dad," I said slowly, "if you're telling me this, I need to know it's not just some old misunderstanding. I need to be sure." He didn't hesitate. "I can get you the proof. I still have the paternity test I did back then. I kept it in case something like this happened." My head was spinning. "You actually did a test?" "Yes, and it confirmed what your mom told me. Mark isn't mine." I rubbed my face, trying to ground myself in reality. My mind kept flashing to every family dinner, every birthday, every Christmas. And the idea that my brother, the guy I'd looked up to my whole life, wasn't even my full brother. "Why are you telling me this over the phone?" I asked, my voice cracking a little. "Because I don't trust your mom not to twist it if she finds out I'm talking to you about it." I figured this way you could decide for yourself what to do with the information. It was too much. Part of me wanted to hang up, pretend the conversation never happened. But another part of me, the louder, sharper part, needed answers. All right, I said finally, show me the proof. Then I'll decide what to do. Dad promised to send me a scanned copy of the test that night. We said our goodbyes, awkwardly, like strangers who didn't know how to end the conversation. And I hung up. For a long time, I just sat there, phone in my lap, staring at nothing. My hands were shaking, my heart pounding in my ears. If this was true, if Mark wasn't Dad's son, then my entire understanding of my family had been a lie. And if Mom had kept that secret for decades, what else had she lied about? That was the moment I knew I wouldn't be able to let it go. This wasn't just a family secret. This was a ticking time bomb. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a little. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, every thought circling back to the same impossible question. If Dad knew for years, why now? And right on its heels came another, darker one. If Mom lied about this, what else did she lie about? Every memory I had started to feel warped. I kept replaying moments from my childhood. Mom cutting me off mid-story at the dinner table so Mark could talk, her gushing over his smallest achievements while barely acknowledging mine. I used to tell myself it was just her personality, that she connected more with Mark because he was the firstborn. But now it felt like there had been a reason all along. I checked my phone every 10 minutes. By midnight, I was pacing my apartment. By 2 in the morning, I was halfway convinced Dad had chickened out and wouldn't send anything. At 2:37 a.m., the notification pinged. The subject line was blunt. This is the proof. My heart thudded as I opened it. Attached was a single PDF. The email itself had only 3 sentences. This is the test I did in 2004. I kept it hidden for everyone's sake. I'm sorry you have to see it this way. I clicked the file and my breath caught. It wasn't dramatic looking, just a scanned piece of paper from a lab, but the bold, unmistakable words jumped out at me. Paternity. Excluded. The date was there. The lab name. My father's name. Mark's name. All in plain black ink. I don't know how long I stared at it. I think part of me was waiting for it to morph into something else. A misunderstanding, a mistake. Anything but the truth. But it didn't. That was it. Black and white confirmation. My dad was not my brother's biological father. I set my phone down and sat on the couch, trying to breathe. I felt like I was floating outside my own life, watching myself react from a distance. My hands were cold. My mouth was dry. Mark had no idea. That fact kept looping through my brain. He doesn't know. He's been living his whole life thinking Dad is his dad. And here's the thing. I didn't know how to feel about that. Part of me wanted to protect him, to shield him from the truth. But another part, the part still stinging from years of being the second choice, wanted him to know exactly why Mom treated us so differently. I called Dad, even though it was almost 3 in the morning. He answered on the second ring. You saw it, he asked. Yeah, I said, my voice flat. I saw it. I'm sorry, he said again, like that could possibly cover the weight of what he just dropped on me. You kept this for 21 years, I said, the anger bubbling up now. You let me grow up thinking Mom's favoritism was just random. You let me think it was my fault she didn't like me as much. That's not what Don't tell me that's not what you meant. You knew, Dad. You knew the reason, and you just let it play out. He was quiet for a long moment. I thought protecting both of you from the truth was better, and I didn't want to break the family apart. I laughed bitterly. News flash. It was already broken. We just didn't know it. He sighed. Look, I didn't tell you this to hurt you. I told you because I think things are going to come out soon anyway. Mark's been asking questions. He noticed some old photos where the timelines don't add up. I think he's starting to piece it together. That stopped me cold. Wait, you think Mom knows he's suspicious? I'd bet money on it, Dad said. And knowing her, she'll do whatever it takes to control the narrative. I rubbed my eyes. I could practically see it already. Mom spinning some story about how she'd been abandoned, painting herself as a victim, maybe even turning Mark against Dad entirely. She was good at that. Too good. I need to talk to Mark, I said, my decision crystallizing in that moment. Dad hesitated. Be careful. If you come at him too hard, he might shut down or run straight to your mom. I'm not going to accuse him of anything, I said. I need to know where he stands before I do anything else. We hung up, and I sat there in the dark, the glow from my phone lighting the coffee table. The proof was sitting in my inbox like a live grenade. By morning, I'd made my choice. I texted Mark, "Hey, can we meet up today? Just us. Need to talk." He replied almost instantly, "Yeah, sure. What's up?" In person, I wrote back, "We met at a small diner halfway between our apartments. The kind of place with cracked vinyl booths and coffee that tastes like it's been sitting since the Nixon administration." When he walked in, he looked normal, like the guy I'd grown up with. But now, there was this invisible wall between us, something I could see but couldn't touch. We ordered coffee, and I wasted no time. "Has Mom been acting weird with you lately?" Mark frowned. Not really. Same as always, I guess." "Why?" I studied him. Either he was a great liar, or he genuinely didn't know. "What about Dad? Have you noticed him being different?" Now he looked suspicious. "What's going on?" I took a deep breath. "Mark, there's something about our family you need to know. And before I tell you, I need you to promise me you won't run to Mom without hearing me out." His eyes narrowed. "What is this? Some kind of intervention?" "No," I said softly. "It's the truth. The actual truth. And it's going to hurt." He didn't promise. But he didn't leave, either. I could feel the weight of the next sentence pressing down on me, threatening to crush me if I didn't say it out loud. And that's when I told him. When I told Mark. He just stared at me. No blinking, no words, just this blank, stunned expression like his brain had short-circuited. "You're lying," he said finally, his voice low. "I'm not," I replied, sliding my phone across the table. The PDF was open, the bold paternity, excluded staring back at him like a punch in the face. He picked up my phone, eyes scanning the page. His hand trembled. This has to be fake. Where did you even get this?" "From Dad," I said. That made him freeze. "He told you this?" "Yes, last night. He's known since 2004. Mom told him." Mark shook his head, almost laughing, but it was the kind of laugh people do when they're on the edge of breaking down. No way Mom would lie about something like that. She wouldn't. I leaned forward. "Mark, think about it. Really think. How many times has she defended you no matter what? How many times has she torn me down in front of you? How many times have you wondered why Dad treats us differently?" His mouth opened, but no words came out. He looked away, staring at the cracked vinyl booth like it might have the answers. "You're saying Dad isn't my dad," he finally said. "I'm saying Mom lied to both of us. I corrected. Dad is still the man who raised you. But biologically? No." Mark pushed my phone back across the table, like it burned him. "This doesn't make sense." She wouldn't. I cut in, sharper than I meant to. "She did, Mark." He flinched at my tone. For a moment, I hated myself for pushing so hard. But then I remembered every family gathering where Mom made me the punchline. Every time she dismissed my achievements. Every time she pretended Dad was the problem. Mark finally looked at me, his eyes glassy. I need to hear it from her. "I'm warning you," I said. "She's not going to admit it easily. She's going to spin this to make herself the victim. Then I'll ask her in front of both of you," he said. And just like that, the plan was set. We would go to Mom's house together that evening. The drive was silent, tension thick in the air. Mark gripped the steering wheel like he wanted to crush it. When we walked in, Mom was in the kitchen, chopping vegetables. She smiled when she saw us. "Well, this is a surprise. What's the occasion?" Mark didn't waste time. "We need to talk. All of us." Her smile faltered. "Okay, what's going on?" We sat in the living room. Dad was already there, sitting stiffly in his chair. I could feel the storm about to break. Mark turned to her. "Is Dad my biological father?" Her face went pale, then flushed red in a matter of seconds. "What kind of question is that?" "Just answer it," Mark pressed. She glanced at Dad, then at me, her eyes narrowing. "What did you tell him?" she snapped. "I told him the truth. I said," her voice sharpened, "you had no right." "I had every right." I shot back. "You've been lying to all of us for decades." Mark slammed his hand on the coffee table. "Answer the question, Mom." She looked between us, then sighed dramatically. "Fine. No, he's not your biological father. But that doesn't matter." Mark's face crumpled. "It matters to me." She stood up, pointing a finger at Dad. "You see? This is why I didn't want to tell him. You've poisoned him against me." Dad just shook his head. "You did that yourself." And then it was chaos. Voices overlapping, accusations flying. Mom accusing Dad of never loving her enough. Dad accusing her of betrayal. Mark demanding to know who his biological father was. She wouldn't say it first. Then, in a burst of anger, she spat out his name, a man I vaguely remembered as one of Mom's old friends from before she married Dad. By the time we left, Mark looked like someone had pulled the ground out from under him. He didn't speak the whole drive back. And I knew this wasn't over, not by a long shot. Chapter 4, Fallout. The week after the confrontation was held, Mark stopped answering my texts. Mom sent me a string of angry messages accusing me of destroying the family and turning Mark against her. Dad kept checking in, but I could hear the guilt in his voice. Then, 2 weeks later, Mark called. "I met him," he said. It took me a second to process. "Who?" "My biological father," he said flatly. Apparently, after our blow-up with Mom, she had given him the man's number. Mark had called him, and they'd met for coffee. "How did it go?" I asked carefully. "Fine, I guess," he said. "He's different. Weird to think I'm half him." There was a pause. Then his voice hardened. "But I'm still Dad's son. No matter what." I felt a wave of relief. Good. Because that's the truth that actually matters. But not everything was that simple. Mom wasn't letting this go. She started calling extended family members, telling them I was spreading lies. I had aunts and uncles calling me, demanding explanations. Some believed me. Most didn't. Then Dad dropped another bombshell. He was filing for divorce. "She's been lying to me for our entire marriage," he told me. I should have left years ago. I supported him, but I knew it was going to make things uglier. Mom had never been one to lose quietly. And I was right. Within days, she'd posted a long, dramatic rant on Facebook about being abandoned by her husband and betrayed by her younger child. She never mentioned the affair, of course. Mark stayed mostly quiet, but I could tell he was struggling. We met for lunch one day, and he admitted, "I feel like I don't belong anywhere now." Mom lied. Dad's not my dad. And this other guy, he's basically a stranger. I told him what I'd been telling myself. Blood doesn't define family. Choices do. Dad chose you. That's what matters. He nodded, but I could see it didn't fully sink in. Some wounds take years to heal. Meanwhile, Dad's divorce lawyer was digging into Mom's finances and finding things. Bank accounts she hadn't told him about. Money transfers to her old friend as recently as last year. When I told Mark, he just shook his head. "She's never going to change, is she?" "No," I said. "She isn't." By the time the divorce papers were filed, the family was split down the middle. Some relatives took Mom's side. Others took Dad's. Mark and I were stuck in the middle, trying to navigate a new reality where nothing felt certain anymore. And then something happened that shifted everything again. Chapter 5, The Turning Point. The something came 3 months after the divorce papers were filed. I was at work when Dad called me, his voice calm but with this edge of satisfaction I hadn't heard in a long time. "Check your email," he said. When I did, I found a set of PDFs from his lawyer. They were copies of bank records, but not just the secret accounts we already knew about. This was something new. Mom had been funneling money from one of those accounts into a joint business venture with her old lover, the same man who turned out to be Mark's biological father. And here's the kicker. The business was registered in Dad's name 2, without his knowledge. That meant she had committed fraud. Dad's lawyer explained it in simple terms. She used your name to secure business loans without consent. That's a criminal offense. I sat back in my chair, stunned. So what happens now? Dad's voice on the phone was steady. Now, she answers for it. 2 weeks later, she was served, not just with divorce proceedings, but with a lawsuit for fraud and identity theft. The court ordered her accounts frozen. The business collapsed overnight. I didn't see her in person until the first court hearing. She looked smaller somehow, like someone had let the air out of her. Still, the moment her eyes met mine, there was that same old glare, the one that said, "This is your fault." Mark sat beside me in the gallery. He hadn't been talking to Mom much since meeting his biological father, but he'd agreed to come. When she walked past us, she didn't even glance at him. That stung him more than he wanted to admit. The hearing was brutal. The evidence was airtight. She tried to spin it, said she'd only done it because she thought Dad wouldn't mind, that she was protecting the family. But the judge wasn't buying it. When the verdict came down, she was ordered to repay the stolen money, plus damages. And because she couldn't, her house, the one she refused to let go of in the divorce, had to be sold. It wasn't jail time, but it was a kind of humiliation she'd never imagined for herself. After court, Mark and I grabbed lunch. We didn't talk much at first. Finally, he said, "I guess that's karma." "Yeah," I said, though part of me wishes she'd just told the truth years ago. Could have avoided all this. He gave me a half smile. She never would have. And maybe we needed to know, even if it wrecked everything. I nodded, because he was right. Dad eventually moved to a smaller place and seemed lighter, freer. Mark started spending more time with him, rebuilding their relationship. And me? I stopped wondering why Mom didn't love me the same way she loved Mark. I finally understood, and I stopped caring. The truth had cost us a lot, but it had also given us something we'd never had before, a family built on honesty, even if it was smaller than before. And Mom? She was left with the one thing she'd always feared most. Nothing she could control.